And this quietness is really, it is the basis for a life of service. It's the basis for a life well lived. It's the basis to have peace and happiness. To be able to center ourselves is most important. And so last week we were talking about prayer and what that is, and it's important because it kind of matches up. And so we'll just say that we'll begin with this idea that prayer is thought. Prayer is thought. And generally we believe here that all thought is prayer. Sometimes we just want to think about it as if only my thought that I direct to God is prayer, because that has this intention. I'm saying, okay, I'm opening up the line. I'm dialing the number, to God. And so these thoughts that I'm sending out there, those are for God. By the way, we're not sending them out there anywhere. It's all going on the inside. I mean, yes, we should visualize that we're like transmitting out there, but we remember it's all an inner experience. It's all going on the inside. But so these thoughts that we direct at God, we imbue those thoughts with a certain quality. Usually a quality of reverence, and unfortunately, a lot of those thoughts that we send towards God are these kind of these requesting prayers. We're asking for things to be delivered to us, as if, and listen, it's cultural and it's the way that many of us were taught, but God is not this big Santa Claus in the sky. I mean, this is what we think, though, sometimes, that we would say, we would ask God for certain things, we want these, as if that's going to change God's mind. Because if it was that easy to change God's mind, I mean, things would really be crazy, right? So the thing is that God's mind is only for one thing. God's mind is for good, and that's actually where the word comes from. Good, God, they go together. So God's mind is only for good, and so then when bad things happen, we pray for good things to happen, but sometimes we get in our mind, well, it must be God's will. This bad thing happened, it must be God's will. It's not God's will that something bad happened. Now, bad things do happen, but it has much more to do with us than with God. So God is saying, here's what I'm going to do. Whatever happens, in that next moment, I'm going to give you the opportunity for good. Because what's going on is we are co-creating our own life. We are in conspiracy, consciously and subconsciously, with everybody around us. So we are going through life creating these situations, and God is saying that's good and fine because you were created with the ability to create. So you're going around creating your life, and you're conspiring with your fellows to do this, and so you go ahead and do that. But here's what I want you to know: as you go around the world miscreating, I'm going to give you the opportunity at every moment to change it. I'm going to give you the opportunity and this is what this particular meditation was all about. Was about staying in the present moment so that we can create what we really want, rather than miscreate out of regret and resentment from the past or fear of the future. So prayer, to be effective, has to be prayer in the present moment. So it's not effective to pray for something that we did in the past to not be that way anymore. Like how many times, but we get lost in this kind of thinking when we have these regrets from the past where we say almost, it can be this tremendous sense of shame that we did something, embarrassment, and we're going in our minds, oh, if only I could go back in time and change those things. Well, you can't. We can't go back in time. And actually, I watched this, there was a special on Nova, and they had these mathematicians and physicists, and they were arguing about whether or not you could actually create a time machine and go back in time. And they were split in their opinion. But this one mathematician, he wrote out this big, huge formula on the blackboard. It was and of course I had to stop at the first symbol. But he said this shows that you could actually do it. You could actually go back in time if you could make these conditions occur. However, if you did go back in time, you wouldn't be able to go back any farther than when this machine or device, whatever it was invented that allowed for it. And when you did go back, you couldn't change anything. So you could observe, I guess. Well, I said, I'm doing that already. I'm observing it all the time. All these past regrets and resentments, this is what's going on. I've created my own time machine. And I'm going back in time and I'm just observing these situations over and over again. The thing is that I am probably observing them incorrectly. Now think about this as all thought. It's all thought. These are thoughts going out. So I'm praying. I'm actually praying, and my experience is I'm observing the past, and I'm regretting the things that I feel are mistakes, and I'm resenting the things that I feel are your mistakes. But it's actually my prayer, and it is setting up my experience. So as long as I'm locked into that past experience, I am actually praying for suffering. I'm praying for a continued looping and looping and looping of feeling the effects of all those past actions, mine and yours. And one of the problems is I'm not even seeing it correctly. I'm remembering the past as I remember it, but that's not really what happened, because how I remember it happening is based on my own perception. And so if I had a conversation with someone else who was there at the same time, and we began to talk about what happened, it's very likely that we will have disagreements about what happened. No, that didn't happen. Especially traumatic things, where it happens in families all the time, where one family member remembers it this way and the other family member says, well, no, that's not what happened at all. It was this. Well, so who's right? Neither one. Neither one's right, because both are seeing the past through a filter and then seeing the present through the filter of that past. So here we are sitting in the present day, praying, creating. When I say praying, I mean thinking. We're thinking our life into existence, conspiring with those around us, but we're all thinking our life into existence through this filter of the past, which was wrong in the first place. So our perception back then was wrong. The way we're seeing it now is not even as accurate as the way we saw it then, because we've added all sorts of emotion and everything else to it. And so prayer needs to be a discipline where we say, you know what? I am tired of those old destructive thoughts. I'm tired of living a life that's got me caught up in just continually regret. So I'm saying, well, my life would be different if I would have done these other things. Or I'm saying, and alternately, I will say, my life would be different if my parents would have done this or that, if this wouldn't have happened, if that wouldn't have happened, if only this thing over here would have happened, my life would be different. That's useless and cannot help us in any way whatsoever. So to say to myself, I'm done with the past. This is a good affirmation. I'm done with the past. The past is over. What, right or wrong, it's over. I am in this present moment. And that's what the meditation was about, being in the present moment, keeping my thoughts in the present moment. And when I have thoughts of the past, I say to myself, bless you, and let them go. I bless them and I let them go. I say something else. I put some other kind of affirmation in my mind to release those thoughts of the past. I surrender to the power and presence of God within me and all around me. That's an affirmation. Hope activates faith, which restores me to wholeness. That's an affirmation. So I want to stick that thought into my mind to replace the negative thought that I had. And everybody, we should all have our own list of thoughts that we want to substitute. And so then what happens is, over time with practice, those thoughts start to come in a natural way. without us having to force it. But the other thing that happens is, as soon as we insert that more positive thought into the stream, it automatically extrapolates to another thought that's related to that. So because you can't go through life with a page full of affirmations and just keep trying to put one in after the other. I mean, so you put one in and you then let your thoughts go, and then the next time you find yourself thinking negatively, put another one in and see what happens. Because this is how the mind is working. The mind goes from one thought to the next. So it gets on loops. So we're trying to trick the mind, which has already happened. The reason that we think the way we think is because of the thoughts that were inserted before, where the culture, our environment, our families, all of our experiences, those created belief systems, which create thoughts. And if you've ever found yourself wondering how you ever ended up in a certain place in your mind, just track the thoughts back. You'll be like, sometimes you're sitting there thinking, whoa, what am I thinking about this for? Where did that come from? Well, track it back and you'll see that some other thought triggered that thought, and another thought triggered that thought. Well, this is happening all the time. It's happening automatically. So let's stick some positive thoughts in there and see what extrapolates out of them. One of the extrapolations will be, oh yeah, you're just fooling yourself again. But that's okay. Just stick another positive one in there and keep doing it. And over time, that discipline leads us to different thinking. Because what it does is it changes the belief system. Because here's the problem. The belief system, the underlying belief system, here's what we're telling ourselves subconsciously. I am not adequate. I'm not up to this situation. I am, or I am. And you can fill in the blank, whatever negative term. We're telling ourselves, I am separate. I am not with everybody else. I'm like disconnected from life. This is a belief system. We don't think that consciously, but subconsciously, those thoughts that tell us that we're alone, that we are cut off from the rest of life, are triggering other thoughts, which in turn are creating the life that we don't want. In conspiracy with everybody else. Because we're all cooperating. Even when you think you're not cooperating, you are. You're either cooperating with what you don't want, or you're cooperating with what you do want. But we're going along with the program. Even when we think we're fighting it, we're even fighting it, we're actually going along with the program that's set. So, we want to change the quality of our prayers. We want to change the quality of those thoughts that are in our minds. So, then, after we do this, after we start learning how to do this, then we want to learn how to be quiet. And this is meditation. Meditation is quietness. So prayer is thought. Meditation is no thought. Now what we did earlier, when I said we're going to meditate, we didn't really meditate. What we did was, I said some stuff. And the stuff that I said triggered pictures in your mind. Or not. Some of you were sleeping. It's okay. It's all right. We're still going in there. So, but that's not meditation. I could do a guided imagery where we could see all sorts of fantastic visions in your mind as we do it. That's not meditation. Meditation is quiet. Meditation is silence. Meditation is the cessation of thought. And this is not easy. When we think about the discipline of changing our minds and changing the quality of our thoughts, that's difficult enough. But to come to the place where we can actually not think, where we can actually come to that place of total silence, that takes work. That takes time. But I'm telling you that it will work. So if you, no matter how long you've been trying it and think that, oh man, I'll never get this, don't worry about any of that. Just keep doing it. And there are many ways to do it. See, Tom's here now. So, Tom, I remember when you told me about the night that you told me about the peace that passes all understanding. So I know, and I'm going to just tell the story, okay? So Tom went to the Catholic church and went to Catholic school, right? And a lot of baggage, right? From there, and I know we talked about it. And one night, though, we had been talking about meditation and this peace that is generated from it. And Tom called me and said, I found the peace that passes all understanding. And you found it in the chapel at the Catholic Church, right? Doing the thing that you were taught to do when you were a kid. On a rosary. That's right. So listen, if that's what you were taught when you were a kid, you may have a lot of baggage that you're carrying around from the Catholic Church. It's okay. It's okay. Let it go. Just do those things. Do those spiritual activities, and now with an open mind, and with the sense of reverence and awe, and they will work. Some people chant. Some people have a word that they say over and over again. It doesn't really matter. We don't teach a specific method here. I mean, what I do is I just sit and I get quiet. That's what I do. So we've had this conversation a number of times, and there have been people who have witnessed it, that we'll have new people and they want to know how to meditate. And so what I always say is, well, the first thing you do is you get up in the morning and you pray, whatever it is that you're going to pray. And the quality of your prayers will improve over time, but you'll pray whatever you're going to pray, and then you go to the chair and you sit. And you don't do anything for 5 minutes. Just sit in the chair and don't do anything for 5 minutes. I'm not saying don't think. I'm saying just sit in the chair and don't do anything for 5 minutes. And as we've discussed, it's very difficult. For some people just can't even sit for 5 minutes. They can't do it. Like 2 minutes, and they got to get up and start doing the stuff that they have in their mind. They got a list of stuff that's got to be done. So you got to jump up and start running around and doing it. It's okay. Sit for 2 minutes then. Then the next day sit for 3. Sit for 5 minutes. And once you get to the point where you can sit for 5 minutes without having to get up, then start examining your thoughts as you're sitting for the 5 minutes. And a vision that an image that I like to use is the image of the stream. And so you visualize yourself sitting on the bank of a stream, and there are trees all around the stream, and occasionally a leaf will fall off of one of the trees and it will gently fall and settle onto the water, and it hits the surface of the water and then it just flows away. And so this leaf is your thought, and you just visualize it that way. I'm having a thought. It's just like a leaf that's falling off a tree. It settles onto the water and it flows away. I don't have to jump in the water and try to grab the leaf. I just sit quietly and I gently just let it go. I don't worry about it. I just let it go. So as we're practicing this, one of the things that happens is it can become very frustrating, because so yes, I know I'm supposed to be quiet, but I can't be quiet. These thoughts keep coming to my mind over and over again. I'm never going to get this. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That's a thought, just like a leaf. Just let it go right on down the stream. Just continue to release it. Don't worry about it. After a while, they will stop. After a while, the thoughts will get sparser and sparser until they will finally stop. And then one day, this amazing thing will occur. You will have an experience. You will experience what I say, the presence of God. You will experience the Spirit, the presence, and the power of God in the midst of this quietness. And this is what it will feel like. You will feel connected. Maybe for the first time in your life, you will feel connected to all of life. You will feel connected, and you will have a sense that everything is okay. That there is no, even though all the worries that I may have had a moment ago, they are gone, and there is nothing wrong. Everything is in order. There are no problems. There will be a sense of timelessness. And then all of a sudden you'll realize that 15 minutes passed and you didn't even know it. The only way you know it is you looked at your watch afterwards. Whoa! Absolutely, this will happen. I remember the first time it happened to me, Jeff and I had an interview that we were going to do on the radio. Now I think I had like 9 months clean, and Jeff had a year and 9 months clean, and we were like the experts. And so we're going to do this interview for NA on the radio, and I go to pick him up at work, and I'm sitting in my beat up Volkswagen, and I've been trying this meditation. I'm trying to get it, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden it happened. It just happened, and the quietness came. And he came out, and he actually opening the door, that's what brought me out of the meditation. And I talked to him earlier about being nervous, and he said, "You okay?" I said, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I am good." And it was the first time I actually experienced that timelessness. I don't know how it turned out. I can't even remember. I mean, I think at the time I felt like it turned out very well, that the whole thing, turned out great. But the fact is, I went in there with peace. I went in there with peace. And this is the purpose of the meditation, is to establish a sense of peace in us, to release all these seeming conflicts in the world that are causing us suffering, and to be at peace. And so and I just think about it as being a blank canvas then. When I sit quietly and get to that place where I have no thought and establish that connection to this power of God, I clear away all of the things of the past. I put aside any fear of what may happen in the future. I'm centered in the moment, and it becomes a blank canvas that I can paint the day on. Now I'm co-creating with God. In this place of peace, I'm no longer conspiring with you. I'm no longer conspiring with the other fragmented personalities in the world. And you notice I said others. I put myself in there with you, okay? So what I'm doing then is I am actually in touch with this power of creation. And it gives me the ability to go through life doing the things that build the life that I want, that I really want. All the suffering that happens to me, all the bad things that, let's just say things happen. I take them as either bad or good, and then I react accordingly. But all of those things that happen and all of the circumstances contribute to a quality of life that I'm really asking for. So what I really want to point out here